If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What's up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, and we are going to get down in the nitty-gritty today of the ins and outs of creating a mastermind that changes people's lives, that changes their financial picture, their legacy, their life, their lifestyle, plus all the stuff that no one shares. If you've been following along inside my Instagram stories, which if you haven't been, you're very much missing out, of the 2-day live mastermind experience that we had here oceanfront in Los Angeles at the largest oceanfront property, in fact, of all of Southern California, which is wild. You would see our dance party, our glitter festival, plus us getting down to business and doing the things, creating content that creates profits for everybody. We do it all. And the theme of this year's event was outrageous fun and play. We don't have enough of that, especially as entrepreneurs, as people who are wanting to achieve more, change the trajectory of your life and how you're feeling and what you can spend in your freedom. That's pretty serious stuff, you know, and you take it seriously, as you should, because you really want something more for your life, more for your loved ones. And then we can kind of get in this space where all we're doing is being productive and working and pushing and grinding. And we've been programmed to believe that if you want to be really successful in life, you've got to be serious. You've got to, I think it's put your nose to the grindstone. Is that how the saying goes? You know, I'm terrible at those. The early bird catches the worm, all that bullshit. And it's just not true anymore. Was there maybe a time that was true? I don't know, in 1820? But it's not true at all anymore, especially in the online space. If you're wanting to build a business that's heavily based on getting clients in cash online, or you're wanting to create an arm of your business that's generating a crap ton of money and passive income for maybe your in-person service-based business or your in-person product business, the more fun you have, the more money you'll make, the more expansive you'll think, the more creative ideas you have, that energy of having fun and giving yourself permission to explore wild ideas and think outside the box. This is where the millions are made. This is where lives are changed. But what I noticed in coaching thousands and thousands of people privately over the last 14 years and well over 150,000 plus in group settings, it's very hard for most of us, including me, to give ourselves permission to do that. I need to be led in doing that. I need to be reminded to do that. I even need to be kind of coaxed into doing that. It doesn't always come just naturally because we have a lot of serious stuff that goes on in our lives. You know, even though I don't have human children, I have a lot of other serious stuff. You know, you guys have kids. We have other investments. We have our own self-care. We have our own mental crap. We have family drama. We have friendship drama. We have animals. We have the dealings of the world. There's so much that we have going on, and there's so much adulting we have to do, and everything is so much freaking harder now. We have a stack of all those adulting things. Maybe you have to call your kids' school. You have to fill out a form. You've got to upgrade a plan. You have a leak in your house. It's just never ending, and it makes us so serious. And then how can you possibly be creative in that space? Well, it's not going to magically come. So many of you are waiting for you to magically feel re-inspired, reinvigorated, motivated to create new programs and products for your business, to really create great content and a brand presence online, to really take your business to multi-million-dollar business if you so choose. And you're waiting for this to come. It doesn't work like that. And I've seen that over so many years. And I've done that. I've fallen victim to that myself. So that's why I decided to create the 6-month ProjectME Mastermind experience. It is a mastermind. It is 6 months. But the reason I have the word experience is because I'm making sure it's an experience for you. You get that live luxury experience as part of it, but you're also getting that monthly experience of us collectively. You're learning from me. We're masterminding each other's offers and programs and brainstorming and then supporting each other right during the launch and having this container of collaboration of individuals that I've hand selected through an application process. So if you've ever thought of maybe having a mastermind element to your business or some kind of a higher level group coaching or a higher level type retreat, a high ticket retreat, I want you to hear some of these details because it'll spark some ideas for you. It'll give you permission to think outside of the box, and therefore it'll connect with your ideal client and actually sell it out. But then there's also stuff I want to make sure you kind of watch out for that you can really only learn by doing it, which is why I always say, like, you want to hire a business coach, a business consultant who's actually been doing it a long time. It's not like you've had 1 or 2 years or you've had a hot 6 months or something like that. You want someone who's been around a long time, who has gone down a lot of different paths, passive income paths, tried this stream, tried this product, put this together, has worked in so many different industries. Because now what you're paying for, right, when you come to me, you're paying for my collective intellectual property. That includes all of my mistakes, all the shit I learned the hard way, my collective of millions of dollars that I have spent in investing in employees, in coaches, in consultants, and experts, and healers. So you're getting all that. Imagine having a collective group of people that you feel safe with, that are like-minded. That doesn't mean they're necessarily in your industry. I don't want a bunch of people from the same industry in my masterminds because I want people with different backgrounds, different ages, different experience, different passions, because that is what creates the container where those $1 million ideas come to fruition. And then you're led by me, where I am making sure, right, that you're showing up and you're accountable. Now, I can't make you do it, and that's something I want you to be aware of. There's going to be people that apply or just join your mastermind that are expecting it to just, you do all the work for them. That doesn't work like that in any area of your life. Even if you're working with me in my 2-month private program, it doesn't work like that. You want to go into a mastermind going, not just what am I going to get, but what am I also going to contribute? What am I excited to contribute? What am I excited to, yes, get out of this, but what am I excited to contribute, to breathe life into these other incredible entrepreneurs that all collectively have that same drive. You want more, you want freedom, you want to know how to capitalize on your gifts and your unique talents and your unique ways and be able to scale that on a level that is in alignment with the lifestyle you desire. Now, I don't know about you, but my ass is, I'm interested in heavy cash over here, right? Like I remember at one point I just wanted the 100,000, right? I wanted the 6K, then the multiple 6K, then the seven figures. I mean, I'm all about the sky's the limit. You want to know why? It's not just the cash, and the cash allows me to buy a nicer house. It allows me to have more cars, more trips. It's because the more money you have, the more good you can do. And the reason why I can create this mastermind experience which is by far not my biggest moneymaker. I can create programs that, yes, do generate a solid amount of profits that feel good to me, but it's because I genuinely want to do this. I can give back. I'm not like desperate vibes for things. So it gives me freedom to come up and experiment and create containers where I'm not sitting there going, I need to pay my bills with this. I need to pay my bills with this. Because that usually doesn't end very well. As I know, you may know, because you're having a lot of those thoughts. I need this to work. This has got to work. I hope this works. None of those are profitable plans. None of that happens. And then you're kind of toe dipping on doing those larger investments for yourself and your business because you're like, oh my God, I need to be at a certain level before I invest that. Well, newsflash, how do you think you're going to get to that level? You need to invest based on where you want to go. You want big baller cash, you've got to make big baller moves. And it is scary as hell. And I'm not here to tell you it's not scary. I get it. It is scary. I mean, I can be a cheap ass. And I'm telling you this from experience. I played cheap with my business for the first 5 years and it held me back. It wasn't until I invested in both a private high-level business mentor, that's what he called himself. He's technically an executive coach. And then they didn't call them masterminds because that wasn't really a thing, because these were mostly like executives and corporate, like presidents of companies. And they were more called like executive retreats. But I spent 20,000. I think the next time I did it, it was 25. These things have big price tags. Now, this is something I want you to think about. If you can hear this person's horn alarm outside, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, now it went off. Anyway, when you see a lot of these masterminds, it is very common for them to be $25,000, $50,000. There's ones that are $80,000. When I was doing market research for mine, not because I feel like I have to do anything like anyone else, because you don't. And I don't want you to do anything that doesn't feel good to you. Because I want to make sure I create a container that feels good to you, my ideal client, because you're the one who needs to be excited and eager to learn from me and be a part of this mastermind experience. So it's about you first. But then I still have to check in with myself and go, does that excite me? Will that drain me? Will that make me motivated and eager to show up? Will I feel like there is a fair and solid energy exchange of time and money for what I'm providing, both in intellectual property, both in my heart, my soul, and actual physical costs? Because the luxury 2-day event that we do at the end, I mean, this time it costs $15,000 to put that on, and I don't play. But when I was looking at the costs that people are charging for these, I was blown away. And I'm not saying that these people shouldn't be charging that. I was just shocked. What feels good to me is to not charge you guys an egregious price in order for you to have access to a container like this. But do you have to put some serious skin in the game? Absolutely. I mean, my business consulting and brand consulting services in the corporate world, there's my minimum that people pay me, absolute minimum, and I rarely take clients like this anymore, is $25,000 in the corporate setting. It's 50, 100, and that's my other business I've had for 14 years. You're getting that intellectual property and expertise that I bring to multi-billion-dollar corporations all zoned in on your business. The inside secrets of the biggest companies whose products you consume on a regular basis. I've been on their boards. I'm behind the scenes, brought in, flown in all the time as a consultant. I know all of those great secrets. And some of those secrets and tactics I don't subscribe to, but I'll still share them with you. Because as long as it feels good and an integrity for you, and it feels exciting to you, what might feel great to you might drain me, right? We're all different. But I was blown away by the amount of money people are charging. And it's like, but the reality is, you want that boss level cash. You want CEO freedom. You want business owner freedom where your work, where your company is being tailored around your lifestyle, your preferences. I don't start my work day until noon every day. I luxuriate in the morning. I have quiet coffee time. I go do yoga. I go on a walk. I mean, there's always some exceptions, but I'm able to create that because it's my own business. Would that fly in the corporate world? Yeah, I don't think I'm showing up until noon. That's not going to work. Maybe for you, you would prefer, just because of your lifestyle or things you might want to do with your kids, you might prefer that you don't start your day until 3, but you go until 10. I mean, I have a client who from my mastermind where she's a night owl, and that's where she's really creative, and that's okay. So she's created it to work around her lifestyle. That's how you have freedom. I don't want you being a prisoner to your business. And that's what so many of you have, especially once you've crossed over and you're in the 6 figures or you're in the low 7 figures. It's almost like you're there by the skin of your teeth and you can't keep that up and you want to scale. You want to go to another level, but you don't want to have to trade more time and energy to get there. But you are going to have to trade cash. That doesn't mean you make less. But if you're resisting investing in your business, well, then my question is, how much do you really believe in it? And how much do you believe in yourself? And how much do you really want it? Think of like Sarah Blakely with Spanx. She borrowed money. She got credit cards. She drained her account because she believed in her vision so much. And the last thing she would want, the alternative of going to work for someone else, was so unattractive that she was going to go all in on it. You have to be willing to go all in on this thing that you want. And why did it take me 5 years to stop being a cheap ass? A lot of it had to do with my own money wounds that I was doing a lot of work on with a private abundance coach who I've spoken about a lot here. I had to do a lot more work on that. I had no fallback plan. I didn't have a rich uncle. There's no rich husband. There's no one for me to go to where if none of it worked, the only place for me to go is my ass would have to get a job at Starbucks, or I'd have to go back into the corporate world, which that terrified me, because once you leave and once you get a taste of what it feels like to have that freedom, you never want to go back. So then make it an option so you can't, because you'll show up differently. Make it an option. I can't go back. It's not an I won't, I don't want to. I can't go back. I can't go back to that life. I can't go back to operating this way. I can't go back to these beliefs. I can't go back to this way of operating. I can't go back to those habits that got me in this place. I can't go back to those relationships that sucked my energy dry. When you make it's not an option to go back, that's when you go, you know what, F it. I'm going all in on this and I'm doing this damn thing and I'm making it happen and I'm going to continue to show up and I'm going to continue to invest and I'm going to continue to pour in on it. But if you don't have that feeling then either you're going after something you don't believe in, that you're kind of maybe just doing it because you thought it would make you some money and be your ticket out, but you're not really passionate about the person you're helping or the stuff you're teaching. You're doing stuff because maybe you're good at it, but you don't love it. And we need to figure out what that thing is that you're really meant to do and love to do. And maybe it's just fear. You're trying to have it both ways. I'm trying to have boss level cash, life-changing cash, and I'm trying to have the freedom, but while also trying to stay safe and minimize risk and kind of, just do a little toe dip in here. Honey, you got to jump in that ice cold water. And I'm right in that water, freezing my titties off, waiting for you. I'm right in there. And that's that collective mastermind I've created. So this episode is special because you're getting the pre-launch preview of my next container. So we're starting in September. This is still by application only, taking 15 people maximum. And that's, again, why we're by application only. You can swipe up. The application is in the show notes. The only other way to get the application is you'll have to DM me on Instagram and tell me, put in Mastermind. I want the Mastermind app. And I will give you the link there because, again, this is not public launch. What I'm doing for those of you who've been watching the videos, you want to learn from me, you want to be in this container, in this collective where we're fucking going places. It's not an option to go backwards. And you want it. I don't care if you're scared. I get it. You're going to be scared. You're not going to be ready. You're going to feel maybe insecure. Am I ready? Am I far enough along? Am I making enough money to be part of it? Well, allow me to help you determine that. This is, again, why I did application only. If I don't feel this is the best fit for you right now, I don't get anything out of accepting you. I don't. I don't get anything out of it. I could take your money, but then you're not going to have great results. And that's just not a good look. And it's not good for the entire group. And I want you to think about that when you're potentially thinking about having your own mastermind or maybe some kind of a mastermind event. You can't just take people for the money. Even though it might be tempting earlier on in your business or your scarcity mindset starts going crazy, it never ends well in any area of your life because then you end up attracting people who have a lot of limiting beliefs and scarcity because you're in that limiting belief and scarcity mindset. I know without a doubt, I'm going to have to make some hard decisions to keep this at 15 people. I know that I'm going to be flooded with applications that are incredible applications because I know what I attract. I know that I'm the real deal with the real receipts and that I've earned your trust and respect and I don't play. And I also know that I trust that you're hearing this, you're coming across this, you're still listening because the universe is sending you a message. Your higher power, your higher self, God, is nudging you. That's what happened to me when I finally went, oh my God, I've really got to invest in having the support, this advice, and this guidance in my business. I can't keep doing this alone. A, it's lonely as hell. B, it's not fun. I was starting to resent my business. And C, I'm holding my own self back because I'm trying to save money. I'm trying to hold on money. I'm trying to avoid spending money that I don't feel I've made yet. But the very reason why I haven't made that next level cash is because I was holding myself back. Why would people be excited and eager to buy from you if you're holding your own self back and investing in bringing yourself forward? Then you're attracting other cheap asses. It's so obvious when you hear me say it now, but when you're in it, you don't realize it until it's pointed out to you, which is why I'm saying it to you today. So the details for this mastermind will be dripped out in the pre-launch. I will be sharing some in my Instagram stories. But it starts in September. I did this on purpose so you get a twofer. You get this incredible mastermind for 2 years. You get it in 2022 during peak online money-making season, and you get it in 2023's peak online money-making season. So you get it in both years, so you can make heavy cash for the end of this year. You're set up for that. Then you're set up to make it in 2023. All the details are just really, it's going to be incredible. I've massaged it and changed how this container looks. So you're going to get much more of a masterminding experience where you get collectively all these brains and creative energy all on your business, helping you name things, creating irresistible offers, pointing out things in your business you haven't thought of, having true outlandishly magnetic content, because we are giving ourselves permission all together to think way outside of the box. So we have 2 monthly live group meetings together. We are going to have a big virtual party. Then we're going to have a New Year's thing where we're going to be setting our intention, our abundance, our plans for the New Year's together collectively, and use that collective energy to really put a stamp and a stake in the ground, more than an intention. An intention is it might not happen. We're putting a stake in the ground and saying, this is what is happening for me, and this is what I'm no longer available for, and this is what I'm calling in, and it's happening. That kind of energy. So you can swipe up and apply in the show notes. You're getting $3,000 off just for being a baller and going for it early on and applying. So if you're accepted early on for the pre-launch phase of this, you get $3,000 off. That's freaking insane. So make sure you take advantage of it. A couple quick things. Something I want you to think about if you are thinking about creating a mastermind yourself. You do not have to do it how I do. You don't have to have a luxury live 2-day event at the end with the best of the best people in the industry. You don't have to bring in high-level guest experts where you get intimate access to ask your business questions and help you structure things and scale in your business. You don't have to do that. If that doesn't excite you and you don't think that excites your ideal client, give yourself permission to put this together in any which way that you feel will give the best ROI, the return on investment and outcome for those people who are trusting you with their time, energy, and money, and also what's going to excite you. And if you've never been a part of a mastermind, well, maybe it's time you do that for yourself. Or you can choose to kind of keep feeling lonely and upset and complaining about what's not working and looking at all these people who seem to be flourishing and you're wondering what you're missing. What you're missing is you're not really fully going for it. Maybe you tricked yourself into thinking you are. I know I would have been offended if someone said to me, you're not fully going for it, which my coach at the time did say a version of that to me. He said, well, you're playing half-ass and wanting full-ass results, or he said something like that. And I go, I am not. I'm working 12 hours a day. I was pissed. I was like, you don't know me. I do all the things. He's, no, you're doing all the things to avoid doing the big things that really scare you. I was like, okay. And he was dead right. I kept myself busy, then I would complain I'm doing all the things and it's not working, and I'm working so much harder than entrepreneur A, B, C, and D, but they seem to be making more and they seem to be having fun, and I'm over here canceling trips and getting sick and getting burned out and being miserable. And I was just keeping myself busy doing all the things and avoiding doing the stuff that scared me, right? Really getting a high quality help, putting in real money to get the best, hire the best even people to help me. I was really playing cheap because that felt safer to me. And then I was thinking I was making up for it by doing the sweat equity, by running around like a crazy person. But it took me hiring one of the best in the executive coaching world and spending $10,000 a month on him. It took me doing that for him to wake me up And within 6 months, I finally hit 7 figures in my business. And I was like, oh my God, I should have done this sooner, which is why I'm sharing this message with you guys. If you appreciated this episode, take a screenshot and tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Share it in your Instagram, Facebook stories, or just send it over to a friend. Share this with a friend who you're like, oh my God, she or he's been looking for a mastermind like this. Share this, or they're thinking of creating one. Share this and get the real skinny on it. If you're still listening, there's a reason. If you came across this today and you weren't expecting it, there's a reason. Swipe up, apply, or you can DM me on Instagram and put in Mastermind. If you have other questions before you apply, you're one of those question asker people versus more so being able to fully trust your gut. That's okay. I understand. I've been there too. You can DM me on Instagram and ask me your questions, and I'll give you a straight up answer with love. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.